بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون. Yasin. These letters are one of the miracles of the Quran, and none but Allah knows their meaning. By the Quran full of wisdom, truly you are one of the messengers, on the straight path, sent down by the Almighty, the Most Merciful, in order that you may warn a people whose forefathers were not warned, so they are heedless. Indeed, the word of punishment has proved true against most of them, so they will not believe. Verily, we have put on their necks iron collars reaching to their chins, so their necks are raised up. And we have put a barrier before them and a barrier behind them, and we have covered them up so they cannot see. It is the same to them whether you warn them or warn them not, they will not believe. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad.
اے غریب الغربا اے میرے بھائی رضا تجھ پہ ہم شیر فدا اے غریب الغربا مجھ کو پردیس میں یہ بات رلاتی ہی رہی دور ہوں گھر سے مگر سر پہ ردا ہے بھائی بنت زہرا نے مگر شام و کوفہ کا سفر بے ردا کیسے کیا ہے اے غریب الغربا اے میرے بھائی رضا تجھ پہ ہم شیر فدا اے غریب الغربا تیرے دیدار بنا بھائی نہیں رہ سکتی غم میں فرقت کا تیری اور نہیں سہ سکتی کیا مجھے بھول گئے تم کو بہنا سے ملے ایک بارس بیت گیا ہے اے غریب الغربا اے میرے بھائی رضا تجھ پہ ہم شیر فدا اے غریب الغربا باپ کی طرح میرے سر پہ تیرا سایہ ہے اپنی بیٹی کی طرح تو نے مجھے پالا ہے تو ہے اے بھائی جہاں مجھ کو بلوا لے وہاں تجھ پہ ہم شیر فدا ہے اے غریب الغربا اے میرے بھائی رضا تجھ پہ ہم شیر فدا اے غریب الغربا اے میرے بھائی رضا तुझ पे हम शीर फिदा है ए गरीबुल गुरबा पर मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद सलवात.
Jazakallah Brother Mohsin. Inshallah, he will also recite the Noha for tonight's at the end of the conclusion of program today. Please help me invite Shaykh Hayder Shirazi for the speech with the loud salawat.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين بهم نتولى ومن أعدائهم نتبرأ إلى الله اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا اللهم صل على Muhammad وآل Muhammad. May Allah make this majlis a majlis of Noor, a majlis of Ma'rifah, that remains an asset for us all in our graves, in our barzakh and in our qiyamah, inshallah. We have all gathered here to remember Imam Reza alayhi salatu wassalam, the kind Imam, the Ra'uf, the compassionate, the merciful Imam. We'll start with the salawats that are recited in the sacred shrine of the Imam, especially on behalf of all those who were with us and are not with us anymore. Allahumma salli ala Ali ibn Musa al-Ridha al-Murtada al-Imam al-Taqi al-Naqi wa hujjatika ala man fawqa al-ard wa man tahta al-thara al-Siddiq al-Shahid salatan kathiratan تامة زاكية متواصلة متواترة مترادفة كأفضل ما صليت على أحد من أوليائك. Imam Reza alayhi salatu wassalam was born in Medina on Friday, the 11th of Dhul Qa'dah, 148 after Hijrah. And then his father is Imam Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salatu wassalam. Mother is Najma salamullahi alayha, also known as Samana, Tuktam and Tahira are the other names she has. Imam's name is Ali, the title is Reza, his kunniyat it is Abul Hasan, and at the age of 35 he arrived at the rank of Imamat after the Shahadat of his father Imam Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salam. The duration of the Imamat of the 8th Imam is 20 years, and the rulers of his time we have Harun al-Rashid la'natullahi alayhi for 10 years, Amin his son for 5 years, and his other brother Ma'mun for 5 years. On the ring of the Imam alayhi salatu wassalam is engraved MashaAllah la quwwata illa billah. And some other riwayat they say that on the ring of the Imam is engraved or written Hasbi Allah. Imam's children, Imam Jawad, Imam Muhammad Taqi alayhi salatu wassalam, and Imam was blessed with his son at the age of 48, and the age of Imam's son, that is Imam Jawad, at the time of his shahada is 7 years. And the cause of the shahadat of the Imam is poisoned by Ma'mum, la'natullahi alayhi. Imam was at the age of 55, the year 200 Hijrah, on the last day of Safar. Now, regarding Imam alayhi salatu wassalam and the divine duties that he has and what he says to us, the seerah of the Imam towards the wajib and haram, that is the wajibat that we have and the muharramat that we have. We have certain things that are wajib and certain things that are haram, like for example whining, haram, ghibat, haram, accusing others, or tuhmat, that is haram, and things like mubah, makruh, and mustahab, they are not being discussed now. Someone who has not performed a mustahab will not be questioned or punished on the day of judgment, nor will he be held liable. In a statement, Imam alayhi salatu wasalam, he says that awra'un nas man waqafa inda shubha. That is, the wariest of men is one who stops and stands by a shubha. Wa a'badun nas man aqama al-fara'id. And is the most worshipping of men is one who establishes the wajibat, the duties, performs them. Further says, وَأَزْهَدُ النَّاسِ مَنْ تَرَكَ الْحَرَامِ. That is, the most pious of men is one who refrains from the forbidden, that what is haram. وَأَشَدُّ النَّاسِ اجْتِهَادًا مَنْ تَرَكَ الذُّنُوبِ. And the most striving among men is one who refrains from sins. Now, not adding anything to the haram and the halal, Quran says, قل فمن حرم زينة الله التي أخرج لعباده والطيبات من الرزق, says that, oh, who has forbidden the adornment of Allah which He has brought forth for His servants, and the good things, the provision, say, these are the faithful in the life of this world. Now one should not make haram that what Allah has made halal for him. Means of adornment that are made lawful and halal by Allah, we shouldn't twist with them, we shouldn't tamper with them. That is, there existed in the past, during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, people who sought refuge in the caves to distance from halal zinat the Almighty had made. They never got married, they never dressed well, they never ate well, with this mindset that we should be living in this dunya just like that, without any kind of adornment, which is against the seerah and the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the second thing that we learn from this glorious hadith of the Imam is that wajibat and muharramat, they are not seasonal. Anything that is wajib forever. Anything haram, haram forever. Now, due to weddings, gatherings are mixed, doesn't make it lawful. Or at times they say that it was just a one-off drink and we'll wash our mouths, we'll rinse our mouth and that will be fine. It is not the question of doing it once or repeating it 100 times. You destroy a ship, it sinks. You make a hole in a ship, it sinks. Or for example, hijab be observed in mosques and places of worship, otherwise no. That is all tampering with that what Allah has made and laid for the entire religion. The other point to note in this beautiful glorious hadith of the Imam alayhi salam is muharramat and halal, whatever he has made, it is forever. Says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu innamal khamru wal maisir wal ansab wal azlam rijsun min amal shaitan. That is, O you who believe, indeed wine, gambling, idols, and all these haram entertainments, they are admonitions of shaitan, and doing so, avoid them so that you may be felicitous. Whether or not we know the falsafa or the reason behind the ahkam, we are duty bound to be obedient to Allah's command. Some of the reasonings one may not know. For example, wine being haram because it intoxicates, part of it we know. Or for example, slaughtering in the way of halal, why Bismillah is to be said, why the Qibla has to be observed. The hikmat of most of the ahkam is unknown. Yet they have to be observed, and also that what has been forbidden has to be refrained. Prayers, why 3 rak'at, why 2 rak'at, why 4 rak'at, why should we facing the Qibla, etc., etc. And what makes it that a person wants to have a relationship with someone and sigha would make it halal, and without it, It won't be, or for the age of bulugh, the moment a girl turns 9 and a boy turns 15, everything, he is duty bound to all of those wajibat and has to refrain from every haram. Now these are issues that we have in our deen. Now with this introduction, Imam Reza alayhi salatu wasalam was particular towards the ahkam, the duties. Like all other imams, he also gave particular importance to everything. Worship and servitude of the Imam alayhi salatu wassalam. Imam, he was summoned from Medina to Khurasan. Raja bin Abi Zahak was in charge of the caravan bringing Imam from Medina to Khurasan. He says that I was particularly cautious and careful not to bother the Imam, not to disturb him, to cause the least distress, as were the instructions of Ma'mun, to be caring and to be loving towards the Imam alayhi salam. To the Imam, they had given a free hand. That is, if Imam wanted to rest and to stop in a place, he be allowed. If Imam had some business on his way to abide by, his request be honored. If Imam wanted to participate in some prayers, in funerals, in du'as, en route to Khurasan, he be permitted. This is the reason why the journey of the Imam alayhi salam from Medina, it took long to Khurasan. Throughout the journey, on many occasions, Imam, he recited 1/3 of the Holy Quran, that is 10 juz, not while traveling, when they had stationed and settled down. And Imam, he stopped the caravan whenever it was the time for Salat, the time of Fadila. And after the prayers, Imam, he used to bow down in sajda and say, La ilaha illallah, shukran lillah, 100 times, and offering the Salat Ja'far Tayyar, the night prayers, etc. All of these mustahabbat were observed by the Imam throughout the journey, throughout the trip to Khurasan. Now the importance of the on-time prayers also was seen by the Imam, that when Imam, he arrived and had numerous debates with numerous groups of people, Sabi'iyun, they have particular respect towards Prophet Yahya alayhi salam. They have their own special belief. They had a debate with the Imam, and Imam was about to win the debate. It was time for adhan. Imam stops the debate, the conversation there, and says, we will continue after the salat. That his importance was given to that time of fadila, although he was in a very important debate. Importance given to khums, for example. Imam says that a few of the people, they came to Imam Reza and they said, Yabna Rasulullah, waive this khums from us so that we do not pay. Imam replied, this your wish is impossible. You portray your love to us with your tongue, and in your action you stand against it. Khums is helping us, the Ahlul Bayt. We are not provided, we are not supported by the governments, and khums is the supporting system that Allah has placed to help the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, to help the religion, the deen of Allah Tabaraka wa ta'ala. Even today, if you see the hawzas, the maraji, they are not connected to any rule, any hukumat. Today, for example, in Najaf Ayatullah al-Uzma Sistani, he is not connected to the Iraqi government, or Imam Khomeini ever took anything for the hawzas, for the marja'iyat from the hukuma. Imam said, khums is an honor to us, the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. And then he repeats 3 times, La naj'al, la naj'al, la naj'al li'ahadin minkum fi hil. That is, we will not allow anyone to not pay khums, which is our honor. So Imam Reza alayhi salam was in Iran for about 3 years. He did not bring his family with him. His children, reports say that the only child he has is Imam Jawad alayhi salam. Some reports say he had more than him, 1 child, and was blessed with this child at the age of 48. The reason why we see that the descendants of Imam Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salatu wasalam are so many in Iran, it is because due to the love of Imam Reza alayhi salam, many of them they migrated to Iran. Hazrat Ma'suma Salamullahi alayha, she also came to Qum in the year 201 after Hijrah, and Imam Reza alayhi salam was martyred in the year 203 after Hijrah. Now, a group of people, they came to Imam Reza alayhi salam. They said that we are Shias of yours. Now, the Khadim who opened the door, he gives the message to the Imam. Imam says, tell them to come later. The next day they come, the same reply was given. For 60 consecutive days, they came, and the Khadim, he always gave them that one reply that Imam says to come later. On the 60th day, now these also were adamant Shias. They wanted to see the Imam, and despite they were being turned down, they kept on coming. On the 60th day, they said that if we return to our hometowns and if they inquire, did you meet the Imam? And if we say that we did not, he did not allow us, we are going to be mocked at. And what would we say to them? And now this time they come and say to the Khadim, it's 60 days we've been coming here, and we want to return, and returning without seeing the Imam, it is we will be mocked at by our own people. Here Imam comes and gives the message to them that the claim you had that you are the Shias, that was a wrong claim. And then says, how many days did they come here? Says 60 days. Host them for 60 days. He gave them gifts for 60 days. Say that, at least say that you are the lovers and you love the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Because being a Shia, it's a big claim, a big title. There are so many things that you do not do, so many harams that you are doing. So all that contradicts that claim of being a Shia. For example, Ammar Yasir, his father was killed. His mother, Sumayya, she was killed. They came to kill him. And they say that if you denounce Islam, you will be safe. He comes crying to the Prophet, what do I do? The Prophet says, do as whatever they are saying. But he is someone who is staunch in deen and he wants to be on the right path. To the group, Imam said, مَا أَصَابَكُم مِّن مُصِيبَةٍ فَبِمَا كَسَبَتْ أَيْدِيكُمْ وَيَعْفُ عَنْ كَثِيرٍ. Whatever affliction that may visit you is because of what your hands have earned. And said, your claim contradicts your actions. You do not observe the rights of the people. Taqiyya, you do not do, you do not observe. They repented, they came again, and Imam accepted them, gave them gifts. So Imam Reza alayhi salam and his brother Zayd an-Nar, he had committed a crime. He had burnt down some houses. He comes to the Imam alayhi salam and greets him with the salam. Imam did not reply. He said, why did you not reply to me? Imam Reza alayhi salam to his own brother says, Anta akhi ma ata'ta Allah. You are my brother as long as you are obedient to Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. فَإِذَا عَسَيْتَ اللَّهِ لَا إِخَاءَ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَكَ. And the moment you disobeyed Allah, there is no brotherhood between you and me. Like the example of Prophet Nuh says, قَالَ يَا نُوحْ إِنَّهُ لَيْسَ مِنْ أَهْلِكَ إِنَّهُ غَيْرُ صَالِحٍ. To Prophet Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala said, indeed he is not your family, indeed he is unrighteous conduct. With reference to Imam Reza alayhi salam, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, he says, Satudfanu bad'atum minni bi Khurasan ma zaraha makruh nafasallah azza wa jal karbah wala muznafar Allah. That is, part of me will be buried in Khurasan, and who's afflicted is aggrieved when he visits him, he will be eased. And when he comes here and pays a visit to my son, Allah will forgive his sins. Now we have ayat from Ma'sumin regarding the importance of his salam. For example, Imam al-Sadiq also has a similar hadith, says, تُقْتَلْ حَفَدَتِي بِأَرْضِ خُرَاسَانَ فِي مَدِينَةٍ يُقَالُ لَهَا تُوس. That is, my family, my son, he will be killed in Khurasan in a city called Tus. And whosoever pays a visit to him, عارفا بحقه, knowing his right, أخذته بيده, أخذته بيدي يوم القيامة وأدخلته الجنة. I will hold him with my hand and I will make him enter the heaven. And all these statements we have regarding the ziyarat of Imam Reza alayhi salam. And then Imam continues, says, whosoever pays a visit to my son, despite the distance that he is traveling all the way to Tus, to Khurasan, says that I will help him out in the most toughest of stations. Says, where is that? Says, on the day of judgment, يوم القيامة أتيته يوم القيامة في ثلاث مواطن. I will come to help him out on 3 stops and stations on the day of judgment, and I will ease him, I will free him min ahwaliha, from the horrors and the dangers of those stops and stations. What are they? إذا تطايرت الكتب يمينا وشمالا وعند الصراط والميزان. When the books will be given, when the statement of account will be presented, and on the sirat and by the mizan, I will be there, I will help him, and I will free him from all the horrors of the day of judgment. And then he will be addressed, Salamun alaykum bima sabartum فَنِعْمَ عُقْبَى الدَّارِ. Salam be upon you for all the patience you observed, and how excellent is the reward, and that is that ultimate abode of the heaven that will be presented to you. Now, sinning and doing wrong or committing the haram, that is portraying or showing animosity towards the Imam alayhi salam. One of the ulama, he narrates that I intended to travel to Mashhad for an illness, and I had a businessman who also was accompanying me. We met each other and we separated from the haram. The alimi says that night I had a dream and I saw that the businessman, he entered the haram and was sitting in the shrine. And this man, he threw a javelin at the Imam from the right. And I was amazed to see that he was with me. How come he's throwing that arrow at that javelin at the Imam? And then I saw that arrow he's throwing at the Imam from the left. And then from behind and outside the haram, that same javelin was being thrown at the Imam. I went to see him. The next day I said, this is what I saw, that you've been throwing javelins at the Imam. He revealed that what you saw is that in the haram, I saw a non-mahram. I touched her from the left, from the right, and then we had an unlawful and indecent relationship. And all these arrows and javelins that you saw were the sins that I committed, that is in the shrine of Imam Reza alayhi salatu wassalam. So dreams, although they are not binding, they are not hujjat, but then you get indications as to the right and the wrong that we are doing. The sirat, the worship and the servitude of the Imam alayhi salatu wassalam, Imam says in one of the sayings, Amirul Mu'mineen says, Ahabbul ibad ilallah al-muta'assi bin nabiyyih. The best of people towards Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala is someone who is the most obedient and someone who follows the Nabi and the Prophet of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. Says that people, they are of 3 types. They who want the Imam for their dunya, but their actions, they are otherwise. Or for example, the second is that they, when you look into the seerah of the Imam alayhi salam, we see that Imam gives particular importance to the night prayers, to the Salatul Layl, and says that night prayers, they have 3 effects. What are they? And then says 3 things, they are hidden in 3 things. First of all, namaz, salat that you offer, it is not only that salat. So with that salat, there is something hidden in it, and that is zakat. Both have to be done. Zakat has to be offered so that namaz also is intact. So if someone does offer salat, فَمَنْ صَلَّى وَلَمْ يُزَكِّي لَمْ تُقْبَلْ مِنْهُ صَلَاتُهُ. Someone who offers his prayers but does not pay his zakat, says that salat will not be accepted. The second thing that Imam says is that gratitude to Allah tabarak wa ta'ala and respecting parents. Says, وَأْمُرْ بِالشُّكْرِ لَهُ وَلِلْوَالِدَيْنِ. You have been instructed and commanded to be grateful and thankful to Allah and to your parents. and someone who is not thankful and grateful to his parents is not thankful to Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. فَمَنْ لَمْ يَشْكُرْ وَالِدَيْهِ لَمْ يَشْكُرِ اللَّهِ. That is what we see in Quran. So much of emphasis is there. وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. That is, you do good to your parents. May they be alive or may they have passed away. That good to parents has to be continuously done. The third thing that Imam mentions over here is that وَأْمُرْ بِالْإِتِّقَاءِ اللَّهِ وَصِلَةِ الرَّحِمِ. That is, you have been instructed and commanded towards observing the taqwa and God-wariness of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala and silatul rahim, that is doing good to the family. فَمَنْ لَمْ يَسِلْ رَحِمَهُ لَمْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ. Someone who is not good to his family, doesn't make ties with his family, is not also good to Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. Now, with reference to the Imam alayhi salam, now all of the Aimma, now those of you who've been to Mashhad, those of you who are from Mashhad, all these things that will be mentioned now, it is something which is known to those inhabitants of Khurasan. That is, these miracles, the karamat, they are seen, they are witnessed by the inhabitants of the sacred shrine of Imam Reza alayhi salatu wassalam. In Ziyarat Jami'at al-Kabira, we have a statement which says, "Aadatukum al-ihsan wa sajiyatukum al-karam." That is, your aadat, your seerah, your practice is ihsan, to do good. Wa sajiyatukum al-karam, your practice is karam, is giving, is generosity. 160 years ago, one of the great ulama, Sayyid Hussain Bahrul Ulum, and he is the son of Sayyid Reza, Ayatullah Bahrul Ulum, and he was suffering from severe eye aches. He goes to the best of physicians, doctors in town in Najaf in Baghdad, and no treatment was there. Comes to Iran, to Tehran, here also no treatment was there for his eyesight, and he was losing his eyesight and nothing was remaining, and it was the last stages of him losing sight. He says, I approached someone and they said, why not go to Imam Reza alayhi salam? Says, I come to Imam Reza with that yaqeen, with that certainty that I have come here and I want shifa. Says he comes, and he was a poet as well, comes and stands by the shrine of Imam and says, Ya nayyiran faqa kullan nayyirat sinan. O illuminant, older and exalted than every illuminant. فَمِن سَنَاهُ ضِيَاءُ الشَّمْسِ وَالْقَمَرِ. That is from it, that is from the Imam's nur, is lit the sun and the moon. Then he says, قَصَدْتُ قَبْرَكَ مِنْ أَرْضِ الْغَرِي. That I have intended your grave from a land such high. I've come all the way from Najaf. وَلَا يُخَيِّبُ اللَّهُ رَاجِيَ قَبْرِكَ الْعَطِرِ. And Allah does not disappoint one who has hoped your fragranced grave. رَجَوْتُ مِنْكَ شِفَاءَ عَيْنِي وَصِحَّتَهَا. Says, from you I have intended the cure of my eye and its well-being. وَمْنُنْ عَلَيَّ بِهَا. Have mercy on me, grace me with that. وَكْشِفْ قَضَى بَصَرِي. And remove the distress from my sight. Now this great alim, he has this qasida recited there by the grave of the Imam, and shifa is given to him, and he lived for about 20 years after that, and says, never was I ever afflicted with any eye aches, any eye diseases, and the very minute things also that people could never see, I could see with my eyes, as a result of the barakat of the sacred shrine of Imam Reza alayhi salam. Likewise, if you go on the website of Imam Reza alayhi salatu wasalam, the miracles that unfold there, says just a few years ago when they wanted the air conditioning of that huge big masjid, which is the largest mosque on earth, and they had invited some of these engineers from Sweden. Says one of those engineers who just saw, was amazed to see such a big monument, such a big building, courtyards, opening courtyards and ending, and then he says that what is this place? and comes and sees and stands by the golden gate, that is the Saqqa Khane, as they say. And people who are in need of shifa, they come and tie themselves to the dhari of that Saqqa Khane, to the grill over there, and they are cured. And he inquires, what is this place? Says, this is the shrine of our 8th Imam. 1400 years ago he passed away. And these thousands of people who are clustering in this shrine have come here to pay a visit to him. He says, and why are people tied up here? Says, it's for shifa, for cure purposes. Then he says that without any more conversation, he steps towards the grill, and then he ties his tie with the grill of Imam Reza alayhi salam. And at that moment, the phone was ringing, and the phone was with his group. It was ringing. They said that there's someone calling from Sweden, and it's his family. And they wanted to go to him, but he was occupied there. When he turns back, the face of this engineer is not that when before he went and tied himself to that grill. Says, there's someone calling you repeatedly, speak to them. I think it's some kind of an emergency. He takes the phone, answers, and it's his wife. Wife says, where are you? Why haven't you been answering the phone? I've been ringing from such a long time. Then he says, I'm here in Iran. It's a place called Mashhad, and there is a shrine here. Says, what, did you see someone there? Says, no, people, they come here to get their wishes granted and their hajat and get cured. He says, just before I called you, someone knocked at the door. And he says, I've come to see your daughter. My name is Reza. She said that this daughter of mine, we've taken her to every doctor, every physician, nothing could be done. She is paralyzed and she cannot move from her place. He says with all kindness that allow me to see her once. She shows him in. He comes in and he sees the daughter and leaves the home. Says the moment he left that daughter, she stood up and she walked and she comes to me. Says, I want you to go and say thank you to that doctor who has graced this shifa and cure to our daughter. Now this engineer, he's in flares, he's in cries that how quick that dua of his was graced and granted. That is Imam Rauf, Imam Reza alayhi salatu wassalam. Now this Imam who was there in Khurasan for 3 years, Shaykh Tabarsi, he reports from Abbas Salt Harawi. Now Abbas Salt is the khadim of the Imam alayhi salam. Says, I haven't seen anyone more knowledgeable than Ali ibn Musa Reza alayhi salam. And no scholar ever met him, but that he too witnessed and admitted that what I witnessed and I admitted. Ma'amun, la'natullah alayhi, he hosted many meetings wherein the best of scholars were all from all faiths, in all different sciences, they invited everyone, submitted to his greatness, and excelled everyone in every time. Imam Reza alayhi salam said that I was in Medina and I sat in the sacred shrine of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, and Medina was full of scholars then. They approached me and they could not have an answer or a solution, but that I replied to them and I gave them all the solutions to the questions that they had. Imam alayhi salatu wassalam, this is being reported from Shaykh Saduq. He reports that Abul Hasan al-Rida, he never interrupted the conversation of another person, but that he completed his conversation. And that he never turned away anyone in need who had approached him. He never stretched his legs before anyone in the presence of others. In the presence of the guests, he never rested his back. And I never saw him swear at his servants or slaves. I never saw him spit. He smiled and he never laughed. When the table was laid and he called everyone, all his slaves, all the servants, all the security guards, and everyone ate with the Imam on that table. He slept little at night and was awake until dawn, and he fasted a lot. He In summer, sat on hasir, that is a mat, and in the winter he sat on a woolen rug. He wore humble clothes and dressed well in public. When the table was laid, Imam separated the best of food and then, when inquired, what is that? Says, this is for those in need. The best portion of the food was set aside, and then Imam recited the ayah, فَلَقْتَحَمَ الْعَقَبَةَ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا الْعَقَبَةَ فَكُّ رَقَبَةٍ أَوْ إِطْعَامٌ فِي يَوْمٍ ذِي مَسْغَبَةٍ. That is, there are heights on the Day of Judgment that we have to pass. And those heights will not be able to pass, but that he has paid some sadaqah, this charity. فَلَقْتَحَمَ الْعَقَبَةَ أَوْ إِطْعَامٌ فِي يَوْمٍ ذِي مَسْغَبَةٍ. And that is by paying this charity, by paying that sadaqah and helping those in need, only then will the person be able to pass those heights and those places. Now the maqamat that the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam they have, for example, Rasulullah, now grade-wise we see that Rasulullah is the first, Amirul Mu'mineen, the second, Hazrat Fatima salamullahi alayha, the third, fourth is Imam Hassan, and fifth is Imam Hussein, and then it is Imam Mahdi alayhi salatu wassalam, and all the other Aimma, they are all in the same rank after Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. Imam Reza alayhi salam is 8th in rank, that is the 8th Imam. And the title that was given to him is Alim Ali Muhammad. Not that he is A'lam and more knowledgeable than others. No, because that knowledge was spread at that time via and through Imam Reza alayhi salatu wassalam. After Amirul Mu'mineen, and there was a vacuum, especially after the Amawi and the Abbasi struggle, Imam Baqir alayhi salam and Imam Sadiq alayhi salam got the opportunity to spread the deen. And here Imam Reza alayhi salam also, he got that opportunity to spread his ilm. Now, with reference to the Imam alayhi salam, he got renowned because Ma'mun, he forced him to be the crown prince. He summoned him from Medina with his word that Khilafat is your right. Khilafat belongs to Ali, not Ali Abbas. And then Imam alayhi salatu wasalam says that يَقْتُلُهُ عِفْرِيتٌ مُتَكَبِّرٌ. That is, وَيُدْفَنُ فِي الْمَدِينَةِ الَّتِي بَنَاهَا الْعَبْدُ الصَّالِحُ ذِي الْقَرْنَيْنِ وَيُدْفَنُ إِلَى جَنْبِ شَرْقِ خَلْقِ اللَّهِ. Says the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam that Imam Reza alayhi salam will be killed by Ifritun Mutakabbir. Ifrit means someone who is very unlawful, someone who is extremely cunning and strong. He will be killed by that tyrant. Now, Rashid, the father, Ma'mun is the son. Rashid, Harun al-Rashid, the father, had a chef, a maid. In an unlawful bet with Amin's mother, his other son, he performs adultery, commits adultery with the maid in the kitchen, and Ma'mun was born. Zubaydah gives birth to Amin and Ma'mun, both of them were the two famous sons of Harun al-Rashid, la'natullahi alayh. Ma'mun had no children to appoint a successor. Ma'mun was an Ifrit, the term used in riwayat. Ifrit means very strong, very powerful, very genius in cunningness and deceit. Harun, he appoints Amin as his successor, and Ma'mun kills his own half-brother, the chef's son. Zubaydah says that if you defeat Amin, as respect to Harun al-Rashid, I would want you to arrest his own half-brother, chain him in a gold-plated chain as respect to the father Harun al-Rashid, and bring him here. But then he had killed him. So Ma'mun, he starts his conspiracies, transfer of the rule of Bani al-Abbas to Bani Ali, and Imam, this allegiance, this rule is not for me, and I will not survive, and you know that I will be killed, and I know who I will be killed by. All this ghaib information was given by the Imam, but despite all that, he appoints Imam as his crown prince. He minted the currency in the Imam's name, and I will not interfere. That is what Imam says to him in any appointments, in any demotions, in any promotions, and I do not have any worldly power. My religious might and right, that is given to me by Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. Ma'mun accepted, And then he asks him to offer the Salat Istisqa when there was a drought and no rain in Khurasan. Imam prays, and then they saw that how everything, the water was provided from the skies and the land, everything poured down upon the dua of the Imam. And then he says, Imam, I want you to lead the Eid prayers. And Imam says, okay, I will. But initially Imam did not accept. Says, allow me not to, allow me not to. He insisted, he forced the Imam to offer the Eid prayers. Imam says, okay, not here in town, outside the town I will offer the Eid prayers. And just like Rasulullah, he says, and he set off in an attire, in all white dressed, all bare feet, towards outside the city. The informers of Ma'mun, they said that if he heads and if he leads the prayers there, your rule is at stake, you will lose your rule. Then they come and they return the Imam back to his house, and that Eid prayers were not offered by the Imam alayhi salam. Now these cunning rulers and this Ma'mun, they were always after the Imam alayhi salam to cause some kind of a nuisance for the Imam alayhi salam. Now when we look into the Masa'ib and the last days of the life of the Imam, Imam says to his Khadim Abbas Salt that tomorrow I will meet this corrupt sinner. If I return with my head uncovered, you speak to me. And if my head was uncovered, covered, you do not speak to me. Abdus Salam Abbas Salt says that the next morning Imam offered his Fajr prayers. He got dressed and was waiting in the mihrab. The officers of Ma'mun, they come to collect the Imam. Imam wore his footwear, his Mubarak Abba, and he set off, and I accompanied him. Many baskets filled with fruit were laid before the Imam, and Ma'mun la'natullahi alayhi, he had a bunch of grapes in his hand. To avoid being accused that he is the murderer and the killer of the Imam alayhi salam, he ate from that bunch of grapes himself. He offered a few grapes, 2-3 grapes from that bunch, to the Imam. Imam initially he rejected, did not accept. And then he says that why is all this suspicion that I see in you? Why don't you take this with all this love and respect? I'm giving you these grapes. He offered his own seat and asked the Imam to sit on that seat. And he gave the Imam ate 3 grapes from that. And when we look into the history, all of the Ma'asumeen alayhimus salam, they were poisoned. All of the Imams were poisoned. None of these poisons were like the poison that was given to Imam Reza alayhi salam. Abbas Sart, and he says that I was with the Imam and I saw that Imam returned from that meeting. He took those 3 grapes and immediately he stood and he left the meeting, and those grapes also fell from his hand. He says that I saw that Imam's Abba is on his head is covered, and I was instructed not to talk to him. I did not. Says that I saw the Imam, I counted that little distance from the palace of this Mal'oon until the room of the house of the Imam. Imam fell to the ground 50 times. I counted and he fell 50 times due to that fatal effect of that poison that was on the Imam. Now this Imam Reza, he himself says that Yabna Shabib, in kunta bakiyan li shay'in fabki lil Husayn. Say that, O son of Shabib, if you were to cry for Husayn, cry for my grandfather Husayn. Now this Imam, before he sets off to Khurasan, we do find this in the ziyarat of the Imam alayhi salam, As-salamu ala من أمر أولاده وعياله بالنياحة عليه قبل وصول القتل إليه. That is, before he set off to Khurasan, he congregated his family and they said, they all cried. He said that I'm going on this trip with no return and I will be killed. And now this is that Imam for whom the family, they cried on him before his Shahada. So Imam was poisoned by this Ma'mun la'natullahi alayhi, and the term that is used in the maqatil of the Shahadat of the Imam Reza alayhi salam says, يَتَمَلْمَلُ تَمَلْمُلَ السَّلِيمِ. That is like someone who was snake bitten. Imam was twisting and rolling in pain. Imam constantly was looking at the door as if he's waiting for someone. A time came that I saw Imam head is on the laps of Imam Jawad alayhi salam, and the secrets of Imamat were being transferred by the father to his son. Now here we see that Imam Reza alayhi salam, he placed his Mubarak head in the laps of Imam Jawad, the ninth son, فَوَضَعَ رَأْسَهُ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ. But for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, we see that although Imam Sajjad was there in the battlefield a few steps away, but because he was ill, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he falls from the horse. Maqatil, they say that ثم جعل يجمع التراب تحت يده كالوسادة, that Imam, when he falls from the horse, he started compiling the earth with his two hands. He made a pillow-like structure and he placed his cheeks on that. خده عليها ثم يناجي ربه قائلا, he placed his cheeks on it, his head on it. صبرا على قضائك وبلائك يا رب لا معبود سواك, whispering and praying to Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون. إلهي بحق الزهراء وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها. يا الله 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 يا الله. اللهم أحينا حياة محمد وآل محمد وأمتنا ممات محمد وآل محمد. اللهم ارزقنا في الدنيا زيارة محمد وآل محمد وفي الآخرة شفاعة محمد وآل محمد. Ilahi, between us, Quran and Ahlul Bayt never ever come across a moment of separation. Ilahi, all those who are ill and ailing, grant them shifa. All those who have hajat, Allah, grant their hajat, fulfill their du'as. All those who have passed away, Ilahi, by the kind Imam, by Imam al-Ra'uf, this hour make them all the guest of honor of Imam Reza alayhi salatu wassalam. Ilahi, hasten in the return of our Imam, our master, and count us all among the best of his servants, our children to be enlisted among the best of Muslims, and we all to be enlisted among the best of the supporters of Imam alayhi salatu wassalam. وعجل في فرج مولانا صاحب الزمان. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجه.
اے غریب الغربا اے میرے بھائی رضا, اے غریب الغربا اے میرے بھائی رضا, تیرا دیدار نہیں بھائی قسمت میں میری, دے ہواؤں کو ذرا حکم ہے میرے علی, سن لوں آواز تیری, سن لوں آواز تیری, دل بہل جائے میرا اے میرے بھائی رضا. اے غریب الغربا اے میرے بھائی رضا. صورت تیری اے غریب الغربا, دیکھ غربت میری, کوئی بتلاتا نہیں, کوئی بتلاتا نہیں, مجھ کو مشہد کا پتہ ہے غریب الغربا، اے غریب الغربا، اے میرے بھائی رضا، اے غریب الغربا، اے میرے بھائی رضا، غریب الغربا، اے میرے بھائی رضا، مجھ پہ جو بیت گئے وہ علم کچھ بھی نہیں، سامنے زینب کے میرے غم کچھ بھی نہیں، میں نے بازار گئی، میں نے بازار گئی، نہ چھنی میری ردا، اے غریب الغربا، اے غریب الغربا، اے میرے بھائی رضا، تیرا دیدار نہیں بھائی قسمت میں میری، دے ہواؤں کو ذرا حکم ہے میرے علی، سن لوں آواز تیری، سن لوں آواز تیری، دل بہل جائے میرا، اے غریب الغربا، اے غریب الغربا، اے میرے بھائی رضا، دیکھنے آئی ہوں میں کم میں صورت تیری، اے غریب الغربا، دیکھ غربت میری، کوئی بتلاتا نہیں، کوئی بتلاتا نہیں، مجھ کو مشہد کا پتہ، اے غریب الغربا،
السلام علیک یا رسول اللہ، السلام علیک یا امیر المؤمنین، السلام علیک یا فاطمة الزہراء یا سیدۃ النساء العالمین، السلام علیک یا ابا محمد یا حسن بن علی المجتبی، السلام علیک یا ابا عبد اللہ، وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك، عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي ليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم، السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين، السلام عليك يا قمر بني هاشم يا أبو الفضل العباس بن أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا أم المصائب يا زينب بنت أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليكم يا شهداء كربلاء جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته، السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء يا معين الضعفاء والفقراء يا علي بن موسى رضا راضي بالقدر والقضاء، السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان، الأمان 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 من فتنة الزمان، يا سيدي أجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وزهورك. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته.